Hello, you're listening to SecretSpool. I'm Jesse. Today's story is for Turning Point Tuesday, a quiet, honest confession about a life that looks whole on the outside and the invisible struggle inside. If you're sensitive to talk of depression or suicide, please know this piece contains those themes. Let's begin. I thought I had everything I'd ever wanted. 22 years of marriage, a wife who moved in after our first week together and became my partner 5 months later. 2 kids who grew into thoughtful college students, a paid-off 5-bedroom house, bills under control, college tuitions covered, retirement being funded, a steady job that didn't eat my soul, comfortable, not wealthy, but safe. By all outward measures, I'm the luckiest version of the kid I used to be. The kid who hid in his room while adults screamed. The kid who learned early that love doesn't always look like warmth. When I was small, I used to press a pillow over my ears to block out the yelling. I'd count cracks in the ceiling just to keep my mind busy. I used to imagine what a quiet home would sound like, one without slammed doors or broken dishes. So when I built this life, this family, this calm house, I thought it would cure everything. So why? I asked myself, was the feeling I carried inside so far from grateful? That question is the beginning of the story. On paper, my life read like the ending I'd wanted as a frightened child. But the truth is, I've been living with depression and PTSD for as long as I can remember. Therapy has helped with the trauma. Medication helps steady the mood. But the emptiness? That's different. It's a hollow room I carry with me, a pressure behind the eyes, a grayness that steals joy. I can be the life of a party. I can laugh, tell jokes, be the coworker everyone likes. I wear a good mask, and then I'm alone, and the mask comes off. When I'm alone, that pressure builds until it feels unbearable. It's not dramatic in a cinematic way, just a relentless quiet that says, you should be happy, you should feel grateful, you should enjoy what you've built. But my brain refuses to comply. It becomes a guilt loop. I feel ungrateful for things I know I should celebrate. I feel like I'm wasting everything that was hard-won. My best moments are the few when someone allows me to be vulnerable, when a conversation goes deep, not small talk, but the stuff that matters. I feel alive. Once, a friend told me about losing his father, and I was able to sit with him in that grief. Another time, a coworker confided that her marriage was falling apart, and I found words that eased her pain. Those conversations stay with me for days. They make me feel like my presence matters. Connection lights something up in me that medication and routine can't. But those talks are rare, because most people stay guarded. And then, there's the part of me that imagines a simple, clean ending. I used to daydream about taking my own life, a quiet, final escape from the pressure. I don't believe in an afterlife. The idea of total non-existence felt, at times, like relief. But I could not act on those thoughts. Not while my kids were in school. Not while they needed me to show up for their exams, or for the strange routines of college life. I told myself I would wait until they were established in their careers. I reasoned that my wife would be okay. She's strong, and possibly happier without a spouse who can't take joy. I worried that by staying, I might be making them worse off, yet leaving now felt cowardly, irresponsible, and cruel. It's a terrible shrinking space to live in, feeling like you owe the world gratitude, but your wiring won't cooperate. This is where the turning point begins, the slow recognition that guilt is not a moral compass, that obligation and gratitude do not always equal health, that sometimes the choice to keep going is not only about duty to others, but about giving yourself the chance for a different day. Therapy has been part of that recognition, not because it banished every dark thought, it didn't, but because it gave me language and practice for living with the pain. My therapist taught me grounding techniques, like noticing 5 things I can see, 4 I can touch, 3 I can hear. Simple exercises that sound silly, but bring me back when panic or emptiness overwhelms. We talked about reframing, not, I should feel happy, but I can allow myself to notice small moments. And slowly, those tools started giving me back pieces of my own life. For the first time, I started to name the patterns, the mask, the public performance, the private collapse. I started to notice triggers and small victories. I learned that medication isn't failure. It's a tool. I learned that vulnerability doesn't make me weak. It's how connection happens. But knowledge alone didn't fix everything. So I began shifting the daily mechanics of my life. I began scheduling the vulnerable conversations instead of waiting for them. I set time with a friend to call, Not just to check boxes, but to talk about real things. I told my wife more honestly about the emptiness instead of hiding behind, "I'm fine." I kept a short list, 3 small things each day that felt meaningful, even if tiny. A walk without my phone, 1 honest sentence in the journal, a call that lasted longer than 5 minutes. Those incremental moves felt embarrassingly small, yet they became the mortar between the bricks, deliberate acts of care I had never learned as a child. A real turning point came when I stopped comparing my suffering to what others have. I used to say, "Their problems are worse. I shouldn't complain." That comparison silenced me. But pain is not a competition. Feeling pain doesn't invalidate the life you've built. Recognizing that allowed me to give myself permission to seek help without shame. There's also accountability. I told my kids in pieces at first that Dad struggles, not the graphic details, but the reality that I have bad days, and that I'm working on them. I told them that their presence matters to me, not as a chain, but as part of why I want to get better. I told my wife the truth more often. Accountability doesn't cure depression, but it builds a safety net. It lets others know how to help, and allows me to accept help without fearing judgment. The most important shift, the real turning point, was understanding that waiting is not a strategy. Waiting until some imagined safe time to end my pain was what kept me trapped. Now, I actively choose steps forward every day. Some days are small victories, some are stumbles, all of them are forward motion. What does this mean practically? It meant ramping up therapy during a rough patch instead of waiting for it to pass. It meant adjusting medication with my doctor when the dullness deepened. It meant being honest with my wife about the days I couldn't fake it, and asking her to help me notice when the pressure returns. It meant making plans, not grand escapes, but small intentions. A weekend away where we actually talk. A counseling session with my son. A habit of ending my emails with 1 line of gratitude. And perhaps most importantly, it meant reframing gratitude. I stopped thinking I was required to feel joy simply because I had good things. Gratitude became a practice, not an obligation. I started to congratulate myself for being present in a room, for listening, for reaching out. I began to hold my own life with the same kindness I would offer a friend. There's no cinematic moment where the sadness is gone. Recovery is quieter and more mundane. It's the accumulation of tiny acts that make life gentler. It's permission to be imperfect. It's the realization that the people who love you want you, not a performance of happiness, but you, real and flawed. So what's the moral of this turning point? First, being grateful doesn't invalidate pain. You can love your life and still be hurting. That's not hypocrisy, it's human complexity. Second, vulnerability is a strength. The moments I felt most alive were the ones where I let myself be seen. Third, waiting is not a plan. If you or someone you love is struggling, small, immediate actions matter. Talk to someone. Adjust treatment with a professional. Don't wait for the right time to take care of yourself. Finally, accountability is love in action. Let people in. Tell them when you're not okay. Ask for help. Accept it. And maybe one more thing. Remember that the people around you would rather have the real, imperfect version of you than the mask of someone pretending to be okay. If you found this story meaningful, hit like and subscribe for more Turning Point Tuesdays. Leave a comment. What small step could you take today? Your words might be the turning point someone else needs. If any part of this hit close to home, you're not alone. In the United States, call or text 988. In the UK or Ireland, call Samaritans at 116-123. In Canada, call or text 988. In Australia, call Lifeline at 131114. In New Zealand, call or text 1737. And anywhere else, find hotlines at findahelpline.com. I'm Jesse. Thanks for listening to SecretSpool. See you next story.